Hello, this is Jacob, and welcome to Logistics Mini Academy, a short learning dedicated to the internal staff of concircle to learn more about logistics, transportation, concepts, and principles that are being used on a business perspective. Today, we will talk about who is who in transportation. Now, our customers, now being these customers, manufacturing companies, retailers, or distributors, they um, they all need some transport. From the shipping and transportation perspective, these companies are referred to as shippers or BCOs. Shipper meaning that they initiate the transportation. BCO, beneficial cargo owner, they are actually also paying for the transport or for the larger part of the transport, and they are the cargo owners which are being in move. It's a term which is used in the industry to describe the customer. Customer shipper, they can have multiple options how to contract a transport. First option, not very common, but still happening, is that they have their own fleet. They have trucks, rails, even perhaps boats, even though it's not very common. Second option, a little bit more common, is that they contract directly carriers, those who owns trucks, boats, vessels, or aircrafts. Third option, the most common in European space, is to contract with what is called a freight forwarder. In Deutsch, es ist die Spedition. Freight forwarder is doing nothing else than negotiating with the carriers, those who own particular means of transport or assets, and they purchase certain capacity with them and resell it to the shippers in the market for either better price, or they also sell it with certain expertise to those shippers. In the industry, freight forwarders are also referred to as 3PL, third-party logistics. You can ask me why the free, and that's actually a little bit obvious from the relationship between carrier and a shipper. So they are the so to say broker or intermediary in a way. On the ocean side, specifically seaside, they are sometimes referred to as NVOCC, non-vessel common operating carrier. Now, from the legal perspective, insurance, liability, and so on, they are still a carrier, but they are non-vessel. So that means they are not operating the vessels, they are just acting as a carrier. And that's actually kind of explain the whole relationship. Now, if you go a little bit backwards, carriers, oh, no, sorry, the NVOCCs of 3PLs examples are, for example, Gebrüderweiss, Kühne-Nagel, DHL Global Forwarding, um, perhaps there's quite a few companies which are even on a small side. Now, if we go back to the carriers may be seen as a 2PL, the second party or second party logistics, so to say. This term is not being used. I just wrote it here so we understand the relationship and why we have the number 3 for the 3PL. And these are the ocean liners, the airliners, the truckers. Commonly known, for example, the LKW Walter here in Wiener Neudorf, company like Maersk Line, MSC, OOCL, Costco, and of course airlines, Austrian, Lufthansa, Air France, and so on. Now, the own fleet is very, very unusual. Only large companies have that, or maybe some raw material companies have that because they would never find a particular provider that would really fit into their need. Our example is the West Alpine having their own division for transportation called Logistics Service and their own ownership of trains, I mean the physical rail cars which are transporting the goods for them. Now, that's not it. Another option for a shipper is to contract with what is called a 4PL. So now we have kind of continue with the numbering here. 4PL is a little specific entity. If a shipper is kind of tired of managing the relationships, controlling freight forwarders or carriers, planning, whatnot, or if they don't have expertise, say in certain region, right? A company wants to extend their operation into South America and they just don't want to build up the logistics experience there, they basically go and hire a 4PL. Sometimes 4PL is also referred as a control tower organization or services. And it's nothing else than managed service. Managed service where a company which typically is from the industry. So, for example, our Kuehne friends have their control tower division, so they know the industry. um, they basically lease, so to say, certain people or certain capacity of manpower, right? And basically management control over either planning, booking, or transportation spend, visibility, whatnot. What is very important to say, 4PL is not doing a transportation service itself. 4PL is only handling the management of those who transport, so freight forwarder or carriers. Examples here we have DHL International Supply Chain as an example. The second one, which I already mentioned, Kuehne Control Tower, or very dedicated French entity called Prism that are really doing it very specialized for automotive industry. This model of 4PL is less common in Europe, is more common in the United States, and it's very common on the ocean flows, especially on the inbound logistics. Okay, so I hope this was useful and educative. One other reason, one more note I want to mention, it's also important not only to understand who is who in terms of acting in the transportation process, but also each of these entity needs their transportation management, so the software, a little bit differently built because they have each different business purpose and business objective in this flow. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.